You did not arrive here by chance, and I will prove that to you in the next 15 seconds. Over the last 3 days, something inside you has felt strange. You slept, but did not rest. You woke up 2-3 times during the night for no reason at all, stared at the ceiling, and had the feeling of being watched by something that still has no name. You felt a thin restlessness in your chest, an irritation at small things, a sudden urge to cry in the middle of a banal conversation. Some people close to you began to seem strangely distant, and you cannot tell if it was you who changed or if it was the environment around you. This is not stress. This is not a magnesium deficiency. This is not a bad day repeating itself. This is the pre-wave of a transformation cycle that most people will cross over with their eyes blindfolded and reach the other side exactly as they entered, blaming their job, PMS, the weather, or traffic. Not you. You felt it before you understood it. And that is exactly why this transmission found you today, on the right day, in the exact 4-day dormer that opened between the Sunday of the midsummer and the next Wednesday, and which will close without warning. There are 2 types of people before this type of dormer. The first majority, the overwhelming one, will feel everything I am going to describe in this video and will give these signs the worst of fates, the rational explanation. They will say it is too hot, that they have been eating poorly, that the exhaustion is from the week that passed. And when the dormer closes, it will close for them just the same, without resentment, without judgment, without warning. The second minority to which you belong is different, not because it is special, not because it was chosen, but because it has the minimum internal infrastructure to perceive the subtle. And it is this infrastructure that makes all the difference between passing through the midsummer and being crossed over by it. I want you to keep this word, crossed over, because this is what is about to happen to you by Wednesday, and I will show you in 7 concrete signs how to prepare. The midsummer of June 21st is not just a beautiful astronomical event for an Instagram caption. It is the moment when the sun, from a geocentric point of view, symbolically stops. It parks. There is no apparent movement for a few days, and it is from this stillness of the sky that the word comes, solstice, sun standing still. And what few people understand is that everything that lives under this sun enters into resonance with this pause. Your nervous system enters into resonance. Your circadian rhythm enters into resonance. Your unconscious, especially, enters into resonance. And when the internal engine suddenly slows down, what was under the rug begins to appear. Forget the idea that the universe is going to descend from the sky and fix your life because it is midsummer. That is spiritual consumerist nonsense. A portal is not an astronomical event. It is the turning point where the cost of remaining trapped in the life you have becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. You take the step, and then the ground appears, never before. The midsummer only amplifies the contrast between who you are and who you are pretending to be. It pushes your mask an inch to the side and lets the truth breathe. These 4 days from Sunday to Wednesday function as a giant mirror. Everything that was repressed, everything that was delayed, everything that was in the dark will hit this mirror and return to your lap. The question is not whether this will happen to you. The question is whether you will be prepared to receive it. And that is exactly why I prepared the 28-day awakening path, unlocking your potential for you, because feeling the dormer is only half the work. The other half, the one that decides if you come out transformed or just confused, is having a practical structure to cross over the 28 days that follow this midsummer, a full lunar cycle with daily exercises that take your restlessness and transform it into language. They take your shadow and transform it into clarity. They take the signs you are receiving and transform them into real decisions. It is not theory. It is not generic meditation. It is not just another course in your forgotten digital library. It is the missing method for those who feel the portal but do not know how to cross over. The link is in the first pinned comment of this video. Go there now before continuing and secure your access while the dormer is still open. And afterwards write the word crossover in the comments. I want to know who among this minority is ready to go through this cycle consciously and not by chance. The first concrete sign, and probably the most ignored by ordinary people, is an unexpected alteration in the perception of time. especially on the Sunday of midsummer, but extending until Monday morning, you will feel as if the day had lasted a lifetime. The hours will seem dense, thick, as if every minute were carrying weight. You will look at the clock at 4 in the afternoon with the feeling that it is already 8 at night. Small events of the day will seem to have happened weeks ago. This phenomenon is not an hallucination, and it is not mental fatigue. It is the direct effect of the solar pause on your subjective experience. Time from the point of view of physics is constant, but time from the point of view of human consciousness is completely elastic. And what dictates this elasticity is the level of presence and internal load that you are processing. When midsummer triggers your unconscious, it pours contents that had been stored for years into more superficial layers. And your brain has to process much more information per unit of time than it does on an ordinary day. The result is simple. The day seems longer because you are literally living more within it. Do not waste this density. Do not fill this Sunday and this Monday with Netflix on loop and infinite screen scrolling. This is the fatal mistake of the majority. The dormer is being opened within you, and you are using the extra time to numb yourself. If you are going to do something on these days, take a walk, write by hand, stay in silence, look out the dormer. The density of time is a gift. Use it. The second sign hits like a punch. Usually on Monday, without prior warning, you will wake up with an absurd fatigue, completely disproportionate to what you did the day before. It is not a slight indisposition. It is a tiredness that weighs on the bones, that weighs on the eyelids, that seems to have 5 years of accumulation concentrated in a single morning. You will seriously consider missing work. You will want to go back to bed after coffee. You will feel the urge to cancel all your appointments for the week. And here comes the trap that 90% of people fall into. They will call it laziness. They will pressure themselves. They will drink double coffee. They will force themselves to be productive, and they will completely lose what this tiredness is trying to deliver. This tiredness is not weakness. It is integration. Your system is literally downloading, updating, installing a new version of you. Just like a cell phone that becomes unusable during a major update, you are not broken, you are being recompiled. And the worst thing you can do at this time is to try to keep functioning at the old pace because your mind might be able to, but your body will charge the price 3 weeks later, in the form of illness, in the form of a crisis, in the form of an emotional breakdown. Those who know how to read the sign rest. Those who do not pay interest. And that is why, once again, the 28-day awakening path, unlocking your potential, exists. Because this Monday fatigue is not the end of the process, it is the gateway. The next 28 days are the ground where your new version needs to be built, and without a method you will return to autopilot in a week. The enrollment link is in the first pinned comment, and the dormer is now, not a month from now. The third sign happens at night during sleep, and it is by far one of the most disturbing for those who are unprepared. Dreams during this 4-day dormer become vivid in a way that borders on the cinematic. You will dream of people you haven't seen in 10, 15, 20 years. You will dream of houses you lived in during childhood and had forgotten. You will dream of situations that actually happened in your past but appeared jumbled, distorted, symbolic. You will wake up with the sensation of having lived through 3 different movies in a single night. And you will often wake up moved or relieved or disturbed without knowing exactly why. This has a clear explanation within the internal architecture of the human being. Your subconscious is like a gigantic warehouse. Everything you have lived, everything you have felt, everything you have half-processed is stored there in boxes. Most of these boxes stay closed for years because your conscious mind is occupied with survival, bills, work, relationships, news. But when the midsummer occurs, and your external activity decreases, and your nervous system slows down, the gatekeeper of the subconscious takes a break. And those boxes begin to open on their own at night, during sleep, because that is when your brain has space to process. Do not be afraid of these dreams. Do not interpret them obsessively. Do not run to a dream symbology app first thing in the morning. Just write down what came to you. Get a physical notebook, and in the morning, before doing anything else, write down what you remember. Short sentences, loose images, names that appeared. You will discover within a few weeks that that material was exactly what was missing to understand a decision you need to make now. The fourth sign arrives on Tuesday, and it is the most treacherous of all because it does not take the form of a physical symptom. It takes the form of a disproportionate emotional sensitivity. Small things will hit you in a big way. A song on the radio will make you cry in the car. An old message will give you a tightness in your chest that lasts for hours. An inoffensive comment from a colleague will feel like a stab in the back. A scene from a soap opera or a movie will break you in a way you couldn't explain to anyone. And the automatic thought will be, I am overreacting, I am weak, I am a mess. No, you are not a mess, you are open. And that is the difference no one taught you. There is a gigantic difference between being emotionally messy and being emotionally open. Mess is chaos without direction. Openness is the system releasing old blocks to be able to receive the frequency of the next phase. During the midsummer, specifically on Tuesday, your emotional body unlocks compartments that had been sealed for months, sometimes for years. And it does this because it knows that without this openness, you cannot receive what comes next. The trap here is twofold. The first is to judge and repress yourself, closing everything back up in a panic. The second is to confuse this openness with fragility and make impulsive decisions in the middle of crying, ending a relationship on impulse, sending a temperamental message to an ex, fighting with family over a spark. Maximum attention this Tuesday. Feel everything. Do not block anything. But do not decide anything either. Feeling is sacred. Deciding right now, not yet. The fifth and sixth signs generally appear together, still on Tuesday night or in the very first hours of Wednesday, and they work as a pair. The fifth is a sudden clarity about something that had been confusing for a long time. It could be a professional decision you were putting off. It could be an understanding of the real reason a relationship ended. It could be an intuition about a change of city, career, habit, or identity. It doesn't come like a bolt of lightning or a delusional insight. It comes with a sensation of profound calm. It is a yes or a no that appears from within, without noise, without doubt, without emotional foam, almost boring in its tranquility. This is the signature of true intuitive clarity, and it is completely different from impulsivity. Impulsivity has urgency, anxiety, cold sweat. Clarity has silence, weight, and direction. The sixth sign walks alongside it. Some relationships in your life will reposition themselves on their own during these days. People who seemed central will drift further away without you needing to do anything. People who are in the background will reappear with force. Lukewarm conversations will simply cool down and die. And paradoxically, other conversations will gain unexpected depth overnight. Do not force anything. Do not pull those who are leaving. Do not push those who are arriving. The midsummer is performing a silent curation of your field, and your role for now is just to observe who stays, who goes, and who returns. This is difficult because the ego wants to control, wants to understand, wants to label. But the work here is not to understand, it is to witness. Whoever witnesses without acting impulsively exits this dormer with a much cleaner circle, much more coherent, much more aligned with what is coming. And it is here, at this exact point between the clarity that arrives and the relationships that rearrange themselves, that your personal responsibility comes into play. Because the dormer is closing. Wednesday it ends, and everything you haven't consolidated by then will leak, will dissolve, will return to the vault. You felt the sign, you understood the mechanism, you recognized your place in the minority that perceives. Now either you cross over or you forget. There is no middle ground. The 28-day awakening path, unlocking your potential, is the infrastructure that separates those who cross over from those who forget. It is 28 keys, one per day, throughout an entire lunar cycle that take exactly what you are feeling now, give it language, give it practice, give it direction. It is not a luxury. It is the bridge between what you are intuiting in these 4 days and the real life you will have 6 months from now. The link remains in the first pinned comment. Do not delay. Secure access today, before the emotional opening becomes a blurry memory. And in the comments write I cross over. Let this be your energetic signature before Wednesday. And then comes the seventh effect, the most subtle of all, the one that escapes the most and the most definitive. It happens at some point on Wednesday, usually in the late afternoon or early evening. You will not have a grand external event. There will be no mystical epiphany. There will be no sign in the sky. It will be much more discreet than that, and for that very reason, much more profound. You will simply realize out of nowhere, in some mundane moment, that something has changed direction inside you. A very calm, very clean, almost imperceptible sensation that the life you were living until the previous Sunday is no longer exactly the same as the one you are living now. It is not euphoria. It is not sadness. It is a silent repositioning, as if an internal engine had been turned 3 degrees to the left, and now all the rest of the route were by consequence different. This is the sign that you have crossed the threshold, and from this moment on your task changes in nature. Before the threshold, it was to feel. After the threshold, it is to build. And it is in this construction that the difference lies between those who return to autopilot in a week and those who actually change the timeline of their own lives. Most, unfortunately, will feel this repositioning, will say, "Wow, that's strange," and by Friday will already be complaining about traffic and arguing in the family group as if nothing had happened. Do not be that person. You felt what few feel, perceived what few perceive, reached this far in a video that 98% of people would turn off in the first 30 seconds. Honor this with real action. What you have heard so far was only the preparation, the full revelation of what this Dharma means for your next phase, what comes after these 28 days, and how the sequence of the next midsummers and lunations fits into your personal map is in the next video that will appear on your screen now. Click it. The first 60 seconds will change the way you read your timeline. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, understand one thing. Every video here is a coordinate within a larger map. Without a subscription, you will receive only loose pieces of the map. You will feel the portals without reading the legends. You will cross over the dormers without knowing where they lead. The next videos will show exactly what happens after this midsummer dormer, and missing the sequence is missing the context. Hit the bell, turn on all notifications, and I will see you on the other side of the next turning point.